Hi there, developers. Today we're going to look at a small demo of one of the questions that I got asked in a recent interview with a very big tech company. I couldn't answer it properly, so I tried it out, and I think it's actually easy to fix this, but somehow um, I couldn't do it. So I'm trying that now. I did it already, so I got the solution. Now I want to do it out in front of you guys, so you know the question and you know the answer. It'll be useful if you try to understand the logic behind it. So this is the question. So he asked me, the interviewer, to create an emitter class that can do this. We can instantiate it, get the emitter. We can subscribe to these to the emitter, and the subscription actually takes a function that gets called whenever this the first argument is the event, and the second argument is the function that gets run whenever that event got emitted. The way to emit is like this, and when we do this function call, subscribe call, and pass these arguments, we get a subscription, and we can release this subscription. And after the subscription is released, this event will no longer be listened by this subscriber. That's the whole point of it. So let me quickly tell you how it's supposed to be done. So we create a class. So it looks like this, and there are only two methods here that we're supposed to create: the subscribe method and the emit method, and the rest of it is our own implementation. So to keep track of all the subscribers that get added like this, we have to have a data model here. So I'm creating a constructor here which runs whenever we do instantiating like this. So in this, I'm going to say this dot subscribers equals to an object. Why I am using an object instead of an array is because there can be multiple events for this emitter, right? So it can be add event, and there are a bunch of subscribers, SB1, SB2, and then there can be remove or subtract, which has subscribers SB1, SB3, SB4, like that. Okay, so this is the general idea. We can have any number of events. Add is an event, subtract is an event, like that, and there are corresponding subscribers to those events. So it's a map of subscriptions or map of events, and the value is the subscription. So for now, initially, this will be an empty thing, and so the start subscribers. I'm not sure what it's doing here, but anyway, so this is instantiated. Now what we're doing here is let's write the subscriber code. So when the subscribe function is called at the top, you can see there are two arguments. One is a string, and the other one is the function, a callback function. So we'll say event name and CB for callback. We're going to say first we're going to check this dot subscribers dot of event name. We'll check if this event name exists or not. If it exists, which means that there's an entry here. There's an entry add like this, and there's an array. If that is the case, we're going to push this new entry into that array, new callback into that array. Dot push of CB, and then we're going to say we have to return a subscription, which is nothing but an object. So return a subscription, which is an object, and there is a release um, candidate here. Has to be an arrow function because the context has to be set here. So we have to give a context. So we have to make sure this refers to the emitter class instead of this new ad hoc object that we're creating. So we are going to use that context. So what this does, arrow functions are typically used for this kind of scenario. So here I'm going to, so the release is actually supposed to remove this entry, this callback entry that we pushed just now into out of that array. So what we're going to do is we're going to simply say this dot subscribers of event name will give you that array, and then we splice by saying this dot subscribers. Okay, let's take this length or index out of this. So I'll say let idx. The new index is going to be the length because we're pushing it to the next element. So it will create a new element at the end of the array. So the length will be the new index. So idx is going to be so this dot subscribers of event name dot length. So this will be the new index. So there's an else condition here. If this is the first time we are subscribing to a particular event, then we have to create, instead of pushing it like this on line number 25, we have to create that array dot subscribers event name equals to an array with the first element being the callback, and idx is going to be 0. And idx is the index that we have to splice, and one item we need to splice because this is releasing only that callback. So I think this should be able to take care of that. An emit is straightforward. We get an event name and then arguments, which I'm going to take into a variable called rest, because these arguments can be like that. Then now I'm going to call that callback, call each of the callbacks for that event name. If this dot subscribers of event name, if it exists, then this dot we know that the existing thing is an array event name dot for each CB. We get the CB. We execute the CB with rest, and we spread that rest. All right, like that. So I think this should take care of everything else. So just run this and make sure that there are no errors. There are no errors here. Everything looks fine. So now I'm going to create an emitter. Basically, let's do the same thing. Let's do everything that is over here. So this is the verification code. So we create an emitter. We add an add to emitter, which adds to event. This is the event. So which adds to a given number. So if we emit add 2 and give one argument, it is actually console logging 10 plus 2, 12. Right? So let's do this a couple of times, and let's create another listener to the same add to thing, and I'm going to say add to listen subscription 2, which adds a string to the beginning, which tells us 2, and so basically when this happens, every time this emit happens, these two functions execute and they console log these two items. So let's create another subscription, new subscription, but to a different event. Add 10 subscription. Add 10 is the event name function, num, again, console log num plus 10. So now I'm going to say add 10, and the first time after emitting that for once, I'm going to release that. So release the first item, this one. Dot release, which will actually release that item. So okay, so this is already there, and this has to happen below this. So let's see what happens here. On line number 61, we execute emit. So it corresponds to these two listeners. So these two functions execute, and then console log those numbers, which is 12 and 2 colon 12. And now I release the first one. So this function should no longer execute. So when we emit the event again, same event, and pass the same thing, we should only get this string 2 colon 12. Now I emit 10, um, which should output 10 plus 10, 20. Let's see if this works or not. Yeah, as you can see, 12 executed and 2 102. Okay, this is a small minor bug here. Let me just add a parenthesis and run them. 12 2 12. So these two functions execute the first time, and then I released the first function of first subscription, and I ran it, and then it never executed. Only the second one executed, and then the separate subscription also executed after that. So they are executing in the same order in which we added them, which is cool. Okay, so I think this covers the requirement, and I'll tell you what the mistake I did in that interview process. This arrow function is the crucial part, the most important part. If I don't put an arrow function here and I simply say like this would actually throw an error like this. Cannot add to of undefined. Cannot read property add to of undefined. Because the subscribers, this are subscribers, is actually looking for that subscribers thing on this object, the object that was sent to the subscription variable, instead of looking for the class. So that is the mistake I did. So this really helps you understand the difference between class-based syntax and function scopes, and also the difference between a normal function and an arrow function. It really tells you that difference. I think this is really important to understand and use properly in your projects. So thanks for watching, and I think I'll catch you later. Thanks.